8 नवंबर 2016 की रात्रि को 12 बजे से वर्तमान में जारी 500 रुपए और 1000 रुपए के करेंसी नोट लीगल टेंडर नहीं रहेंगे.
6 weeks after demonetization was announced, there's now a broad consensus that not everything has gone according to plan. Today, we look back at 6 weeks of disruption and we ask, what went wrong and what does the future hold? Hello and welcome to Virtuosity. In the not too distant future, people will ask each other, do you remember where you were when demonetization was announced?
Is this what Donald Trump is?
Well, I remember where I was certainly. In fact, I was right here in this studio commenting on the US election results which were expected the next morning. We were suddenly told that the Prime Minister would address the nation. And then, when the Prime Minister did announce demonetization, an entire nation was caught by surprise. At the time, all of us welcomed the move because the PM's reason seemed, well, reasonable.
हमारे यह कदम देश में भ्रष्टाचार, काला धन एवं जाली नोट के खिलाफ हम जो लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं, सामान्य नागरिक जो लड़ाई लड़ रहा है, उसको इससे ताकत मिलने वाली है.
I know that I welcomed it. In fact, I said so that night on television.
It's not just luxury and Mercedes-Benz cars or whatever. It's ordinary traders, bazaars, markets. The business there is nearly always conducted in cash. And these are people who've been traditionally, long before there was a BJP, Jansanghis. They are the core constituency, the people who created this party. They are certain to be hit by this. And I'm sure the Prime Minister took this into account when he made the decision. You have to congratulate him for his courage.
Why did we welcome it? Well, that's easy. All of us know that black money is the scourge of the Indian system. At present, the black economy accounts for something like 22% of GDP, an unacceptably high figure. So demonetization seemed like a brave and daring move to break the status quo. Plus, there were two other factors. One, at some level, all of us who receive salaries with tax deducted at source resent business people. We believe they misreport their income, pay little tax, and stash the money away. And two, we associate black money with corruption, with politicians, bureaucrats, and police officials who take bribes in cash. According to the government and according to most economists, there was a staggering amount of rupees 14.58 lakh crore in cash floating around. Much of that, it was said, was black money. With demonetization, at least 1/3 or even half of that black money would just be wiped out. Moreover, while we knew that even honest taxpayers would be inconvenienced, the Prime Minister had reassuring words for all of us.
500 रुपये या 1000 रुपये के पुराने नोटों को खाते में डालकर आप अपनी जरूरत के अनुसार फिर से निकाल सकते हैं. केवल शुरू के दिनों में खाते में से धनराशि निकालने पर प्रतिदिन 10,000 रुपया और प्रति सप्ताह 20,000 रुपये की सीमा तय की गई है.
So a week of inconvenience didn't seem too high a price to pay. After all, it was a campaign against black money. Even 2 or 3 weeks seemed okay. But then the problems began. First of all, we discovered that the layman's idea of black money was, well, misconceived. In reality, only about 6 or at best 8% of black money is held in cash. So somewhere between 92 to 94% of black money held in unaccounted assets, say gold or property, would be unaffected. So not quite as impressive a measure as we'd first thought. Then there was a second problem. Contrary to the assurances given by the Prime Minister, the banks were not actually able to swap old notes for new. Each day, they were open in the morning and then quickly ran out of cash. Clearly, something had gone seriously wrong. I got my first sense of the magnitude of the problem when I hosted a discussion on this show a few days after demonetization. The economist Ela Patnaik explained that the cash shortage would continue much longer than the government thought it would because they had grossly miscalculated how much money was needed.
If you listen to all the speeches, you will, whether it's PM, whether it's FM, so people who don't actually, and they're not supposed to make the calculations, you will find that the estimates seem to be that the banking system with its 1,25,000 branches plus X ATMs will be able to disburse 1 lakh crores of cash per day. But what has been happening is that this system is able to disburse 10,000 crores of cash per day.
There's a lot of difference
far.
between 10,000
It's just
and
a
1 lakh.
zero.
I asked Ela Patnaik last week how she was able to predict the cash shortage so accurately that long ago.
By then, just 3 days had passed, and it seemed that only 30,000 crores had been disbursed, and that meant that they were doing 10,000 crores per day. And all the speeches seemed to have suggested that they were going to do 1 lakh crores per day. So that was what made me calculate what is the capacity. So, you think of giving 4,000 rupees, at that time it was 4,000 rupees per customer, and how many bank branches we have, how many ATMs we have. So that was just a rough calculation, it was a guess.
It was primary.
By the time the Prime Minister returned to India, his tone had changed. There were no more jokes. He realized that the government's miscalculations endangered its own credibility. Worse still, the satirists had settled on demonetization as Modi's weak spot.
भक्तों ने सोचा था अच्छे दिन आएंगे,
भक्तों ने सोचा था अच्छे दिन आएंगे,
मोदी विदेशों से काला धन लाएंगे,
मोदी विदेशों से काला धन लाएंगे,
हुआ कुछ ऐसा बंद है पैसा,
हुआ कुछ ऐसा बंद है पैसा,
भक्त गए अरमान से,
मोदी आया जापान से, मोदी आया जापान से.
By the time the Prime Minister addressed a rally in Goa, he was adopting a very different line.
मैं जानता हूं मैंने कैसे कैसी ताकतों से लड़ाई मोड़ ली है. मैं जानता हूं कैसे कैसे लोग मेरे खिलाफ हो जाएंगे. मैं जानता हूं 70 साल का उनका मैं लूट रहा हूं. मुझे जिंदा नहीं छोड़ेंगे, मुझे बर्बाद करके रहेंगे. उनको जो करना है करे. 50 साल भाइयों बहनों, 50 दिन मेरी मदद करें.
So the government now said that it needed 50 days till December 30th. The earlier promises of just a week of inconvenience had now been abandoned. And today, even that 50-day deadline seems far too optimistic. Now, all of us agree that the implementation of demonetization has been fairly disastrous. But here's the question: was the idea of demonetization itself as good as we first thought? Or were we just too hasty in welcoming it? When we come back, we'll answer that question. Don't go away. Clearly, the banking system is compromised and dishonest bankers are cooperating with holders of black money. And there have already been instances of bribes being demanded and accepted in new currency notes. Then there's the problem with the amnesty scheme announced by the government. Last fortnight, a man called Mahesh Shah declared over 13,000 crores as part of the amnesty scheme. Later, he went on television to declare that he was holding the money for various politicians. Before he could say more, the authorities swooped into the studio and arrested him. Since then, Mr. Shah has made no public statements. What we do know is this: the digital economy will certainly grow. And with that, so will hacking. I asked cybersecurity expert Saket Modi about the danger.
We've seen some of the largest banks, even JP Morgan Chase and Citibank, for example, being breached multiple times in the past. Even after spending, just to give you an idea, JP Morgan Chase spends over $300 million annually on their cybersecurity budget, and still they get hacked. So, you know, there's nothing called 100% security, and the threats are very real. So anybody who goes online, I suggest they need to understand the threats, and then they should take any digital leap into